Hey friends, welcome to something a little different today. I thought it would be fun to do a little stitching video. Don't worry, you don't have to listen to me talk for hours on end. But as you can see, as I said, I was gonna stitch everything for this month's Long Dog Sampler / So-and-so UK Mystery Solve. Say that 5 times fast. And that I was gonna save this middle medallion for last. So I thought that it would be fun for you to see it come alive because it's not that much stitching and it's going to be really cool. And I'm using a variegated floss. Remember, this is the DMC 111. So here you can see it goes from a very bright yellow to a medium brown, I would say. And what else do I want to say? So we are in month 8. I have this set up on this fantastic hoop stand, and I'll show you that later, and once I can move the phone around so you can see how I have it set up. It's great because I can work two-handed, so I can have my right hand underneath. So your dominant, if you're stitching two-handed, what you want to do is you want to have your dominant hand underneath because it's going to be the one that's semi-blindly poking through the holes. And then you want to have your less dominant hand on top so that with your eyes you can guide that hand, and with feel and that innate sense of where you are, you can use your bottom hand. Alright, so why don't we get started? Let's see, what else can I tell you? This is that bottom motif that I told you that I'm a little annoyed about because it cuts off here. So I've got 4 threads underneath that are ready to go. The rest of this alphabet continues up across the top. I am deliberately not going to stitch that yet because I was thinking about taking my initials and putting them here in the middle of the alphabet, even though it's going to take it out of order, or putting my initials as the first 3 letters of this alphabet, which would be over here on the side. So luckily the next section is this section here on the left, which will show me the rest of the alphabet, and then I can just play around with it on the computer, just cut and paste the images and move them around and play with it and see. So maybe I'll throw it out there to you guys on Instagram, see what you think. As we are using variegated floss, you have to be very careful, and let me bring my needle so I can point to things. You have to be a little more mindful of how you're stitching, because especially if you want to play with the color. For example, you can see here that the reindeer, elk, whatever this is, goes from a dark to a lighter. So what I want to make sure I'm doing is stitching either in a row going across this way, so I'm just going working my way down, or maybe in a diagonal. But you have to be careful because it is a variegated floss, so you have to do, well, you don't have to, but it's going to get very interesting if you don't. You have to stitch a full stitch before moving on to the next stitch. And so it's full cross stitches as you move through your piece. And sometimes that could get challenging because if you're working your way across to the right and you end up over on the right and there's nothing there for you to come back on, you kind of worked yourself into a corner. Here you can see I worked from the light. The way I stitched this is I stitched these X's towards the middle, then I came in, I did the back stitch edging, and then I worked my way to the left and then down. So you can see there's a nice gradation from light to a medium to a much darker. And then I did play around with the floss, which was a lot of fun, but it does take a little thinking. Not overly much, don't worry about it, but you do have to think a little bit. So you can see there's 2 borders on this medallion area. The first border I used the darker part of the thread. The inner border I used the lighter thread. And then on the box that's behind, to give it that 3D effect, I did that in the lighter so that it contrasts with this much darker border. And then I also played around with the colors on the edges. And I really love how it's coming out. Here at this bottom motif, you can see that really well. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Okay, we're coming up on the final few stitches. Yay! Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? It finishes up really, really nice. And one more stitch right here. And we can call this done. Eggs over easy. Well done. Yay! Wah, 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 wah. Oh, that was fun. Okay, so let's get all these videos together and show you that. I hope you enjoyed seeing it come together. And there's the medallion for Long Dog Samplers So-and-So UK's collaboration 2018 year-long Mystery Sal with my King George III accompanying me. And always remember, if you can choose to be in a world where you can be anything, be kind. Peace out.